You're listening to Broncos for Breakfast with Nick Kendell and Scott Kennedy. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Good morning, Broncos country.
Alrighty, we got 4 check marks in here. Let's get that 5th up and running before we are officially wheels off the ground and airborne for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. All right, good morning, good morning. Hello, everybody, and hello, Scott. How are you doing? Happy Thursday.
Yeah, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been hot here. Man, it's for Seattle, it's been hot. I think it was like 88 degrees yesterday, which is toasty here, and it's pretty humid in Seattle, and nowhere has air conditioning, so it makes it that much more hot. But doing well otherwise.
I can't imagine not having air conditioning. It's like when you need it, you need it. You know, there's certain nights where you lay down and you're like, you know what, I'd pay $1,000 right now to be cooler.
Yes, I've been multiple fans running, hanging out in the basement. Some places do have air conditioning, but not everybody. And it's hot here. It's been hot, but we got some ocean air coming in right now, so it'll be a lot better. But good morning, guys. This is an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I'm running the show today as far as the producing and everything on the back end too, so bear with me. I'll do my best here. Maybe John will be joining us in the comments here in a bit, but for now it's me. Broncos for Breakfast every Tuesday, Thursday, 8 o'clock Mountain Time. We will see you guys, Scott and myself. You can follow Scott on Twitter at Scout Kennedy. It's easy to see, easy to get that one confused, I think, but it's also clever. So you have to lean into that one a little bit. And you can follow myself on Twitter at Nick Kendell, MHH. Still speaking of Twitter, follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, first off, click those thumbs up. That helps us a heck of a lot. Also go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. That can help us a lot. Also go to facebook.com. If you do that, you can become a supporter as well. So we appreciate that. And it's also, this one was Mile High Huddle Pod. Reading's essential, folks. If you're joining us on YouTube, please subscribe, like, and share. That gets us to new eyeballs. That makes sure that we can continue to bring you these shows and helps us with sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. If you guys are liking our page also, and you're liking this show specifically, make sure you go to Scott's page. Follow him at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. And I'm going to drop his sub confirmation in the chat as well. Scott, what do you got going on right now? Tell the people what's happening on your channel.
We're getting close. I'm pushing 800 subscribers. You know, I hate calling them subscribers. That's what YouTube calls them because that makes it sound like you're paying for something. So it's followers to me. It's like I said, I don't care if you click on it and turn off notifications. I just need to get to 1,000. I have enough legacy content. And what I'm doing right now a little bit is just getting and doing some back work for high school recruiting. You know, I'm getting back into that where, you know, when I see these guys in the NFL, I want to watch them for 4 years. And I put a video up of a wide receiver from Illinois that's choosing between Oklahoma and Missouri that is just good. Luther Burden, I believe his name is. I just remember the skills: size, speed, hands, body control, attitude, toughness, all of it. So, and Richie Rich says, sorry, YouTube doesn't let me subscribe twice. Sorry. No, I appreciate it. You need to be like me and have like 14 Gmail accounts, and you can just go between all of them. So, no, I'm kidding, sort of. But I appreciate all of y'all that have come in here and helped me with that because as it starts to monetize, I will start doing much more as well.
Absolutely. And let's say hello to everybody in the chat here today. We got Taylor Buchanan Martin coming in here saying, good morning, Broncos family, and respect from California. Let us know about where in California you're from, Taylor. I always think of the SNL skit. But I haven't been down there yet. I need to get down. Don't really have too much. I've never been to California.
Ever? I lived there for 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in just near LAX, Marina Del Rey, from 2005 to 2014. So good times. Yeah, I would love to get to Yosemite, Redwoods, and it's a dream of mine to backpack the John Muir Trail, 211 miles. That would be a good time. I'm a crazy person. Cam Wirtz also in the house here. Cam, hello and good morning from Oklahoma. Hashtag Go Broncos. Loving to hear where everybody's from. Oh, Swink McLeod, another one. Good morning and hello from Los Angeles. Hashtag Go Broncos as well. Good morning, Mahomes. Charlie. That's too early for Mahomes talk. Don't appreciate that. Cam saying first time I can catch in a while. Live show in a while. Had school. Okay. Well, school's essential, but that's fine. We appreciate it. Congratulations on being out for now. Anthony Duran, good morning from Colorado, home of our Denver Broncos. Beautiful, beautiful Colorado. George is in the house. I woke up just in time. Talk about clutch
Central Ontario from north of the border there for Richie Rich. CC's in the house. EJ, good morning, Nick and Scott, and go Broncos. DBA, haven't seen you in a minute, DBA. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. What up, y'all? Garrett Ringy in the house. Good morning, Nick. Hey, make sure you give a good morning to Scott as well. Anthony Cordova. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Go Broncos. Denver Broncos for life from Garrett Ringy. And our first super today. Heck
Kyle
yeah.
bringing the heat, literally. Bringing the heat.
Oh, my God.
97 in South Dakota. Does that kill South Dakotans? I mean, does that make it – is it like don't go outside? I mean, I'm from the South. When it's 97, we stay inside. We've got air conditioning everywhere. And you go from your car to your air-conditioned house. That's why when I lived in Manhattan, the things I really disliked about it was the summer. People are like, oh, the winters. I'm like, no, the winters are fine. It's the summers that are awful because you got to – you're outside so much more for your transportation. So 97 must be rough on a South Dakotan.
Not for me. That hurts me. And also, guys, I see some discourse here about let's get to Kyle real quick, actually. Good morning, guys. Missed you live on Tuesday. That's okay, Kyle. I know people got things going on, but we're happy to have you here with us this happy Thursday morning. 97 in South Dakota today. Stay cool, everyone. Well, that's a good time to maybe bust out the pool, the sprinkler, stay in the basement. I remember I lived in a big old house by myself my senior year of college over the summertime. And instead of blasting the AC and paying for it myself, but it just would leak outside of the house, I would just hang out in the basement. Probably got some sort of mold or something from that. It probably explains a lot. But Mo Ron and Charlie Beagle, I see your guys' comments there. There's plenty of different shows on there and different strokes for different folks. That's a good thing about this channel is it's not a state-sponsored media or anything going on. It's a lot of different stuff going on. So make sure you check them all out, and you can find what you like. We got Dom coming in here saying, good morning, Nick and Scott. How are you fellas doing this morning? Badass hat, Nick, buddy. Well, thank you very much. I think Carl and I, that's the building the Broncos hat. We got to get some, honestly, what we need is some Broncos for breakfast coffee mugs. That would be a difference maker for me. Keep putting that in Chad's ear. Hashtag Broncos for life. Best podcast in the morning for the Broncos. We appreciate that. Miguel in the house also. Good morning, fellas. Garrett Ringy, Josiah Hicks, Kevin Bronco Vines in here. Go Broncos from Long Beach, California. New Mexico in the house with Dom. Kyle in South Dakota, we got that. We got Gary Leeds Palmer. Gary, always a big supporter. Appreciate you. Hello, Broncos country from Arizona. Sean is in here from Delaware. Man, we got a good crowd in here today. Let's Spencer saying 12-5, talking about dry heat here. Josiah Hicks said Mississippi. Fights plug in the house. Oh, God, I don't want to miss William Israel either. Hello from, is that Kiowa, Kansas? Is that?
We're getting big enough. This could take most of the show.
Camworth, Oklahoma. Adam Valentine's in the house. U.S. Dave. Malcolm Brown. Don't want to skip you, buddy. Hello from Homer, Alaska. Adam Valentine. I think we got everybody. Oh, here we got another one from the Philippines. I have to say hello to across the pond.
Yeah, we'll start hitting it by country or state. Whoever comes in first. That's how we'll start. We'll start hitting you from location.
All right. Well, hello, Edwin from the Philippines, and I hope you are doing well and staying safe, and things are going okay. They're over on Facebook too, guys. If you're on Facebook, please click the thumbs up. So we're at 9 right now, according to my numbers here. That might be YouTube though. I don't know. But Broncos, Denver Broncos. Good morning, everyone, and we're gonna start steering the ship the right way. The Broncos have had 7-on-7 so far, and they've had some interviews, and I just want to get to you real quick, Scott, as an outsider, so to speak. How much weight should Broncos fans put in this 7-on-7 period when it comes to this quarterback battle between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock?
It's an indicator, but it's not the be all end all by any stretch of the imagination. It's unless it's just drastic, and unless it's like this guy just flat out can't play. You can when you're watching these kind of things, you're not going to be able to find out who can play, but you can filter out the guys that can't. And at this level, you're not gonna have that. We've got an 18-game starter in the NFL and a 6-year, 7-year veteran who's been a Pro Bowler. We know they can play. So until the 11 on 11 starts coming up, until you start comparing apples to apples, you're working with the ones and the ones, you're working with the twos and the twos. People are coming at you. You take those red jerseys off, the protect the quarterback jerseys off. Then you start to know. I mean, I don't think they're both going to get their chances all the way through preseason. So It's interesting, but I don't put too much weight in it again, unless someone's just completely off the rails. That's all you're gonna be able to decide now, and I don't think that's going to happen. So basically, you're not going to find out a whole lot right now.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's 7-on-7s. Also, they are implementing some under center work for 7-on-7, some play action and stuff too, which I think is interesting, and also apparently a good chunk of 2 tight end work as well, which
might be better for Miners than anybody.
Yeah.
Just getting the time in, the snaps from center. That might be better for Quinn Miners than anybody, making sure that he's getting that exchange down. And if you get 200 clean exchanges in the in the preseason, well, now you got a legit center battle. If he's struggling that, well, okay, maybe we got to move him to guard. But that's about as good as anything you're going to find out right now from not find out again. Like I said, you can see some separation, but not enough where you're going to pronounce a starter. And frankly, in this quarterback battle, it's not going to stop game one. I don't care who they start game one. The quarterback battle goes the first interception.
Yep.
Either the first interception or the first 4 touchdown game. The calls are going to be made. We should be doing this. We should be doing that. So I don't think it's going to stop, period.
Yeah, I think for 7-on-7s, it's going to be, I would say, I hate to talk in definitives, but I would say it's impossible for anybody to win it in 7-on-7s. But it might be possible for somebody to lose it if they just look totally incompetent out there. They can't execute the offense. Balls aren't coming in on time, not making the right reads, et cetera, et cetera. It does sound like Teddy Bridgewater has been the better quarterback so far, but we got a long ways to go. So I'm not going to put that much weight in it. Guys, until we get to 11-on-11s and whatnot, we're not going to know. But the 7-on-7s are it's interesting. And I think the most interesting thing, again, coming out from it is typically 7-on-7s, you'll see a lot of wide receivers out there, 1 tight end, and they'll spread it out and they'll do shotgun. Well, that's not what they've been doing so far, especially with all the tight ends. There's a narrative that Pat Shermer, he's stuck in that shotgun 11 personnel ways, which even though we saw the data from last year that the Broncos had the 4th highest tight end targets per game last season, only behind teams that have either 2 really good tight ends in the Eagles or have the best tight ends in football in Darren Waller and Travis Kelce. George Kittle hurt last year, probably impacted that 49ers targets per game. But the Broncos used a tight end last year, and Noah Fant apparently has been killing it so far. Year 3 for a tight end. He looks absolutely jacked. So I'm really excited to see that. But just interesting note. I want to, when there are bad narratives out there and the data goes directly against it, you got to kind of push back against that and reevaluate. We got Miguel coming in here with a question over on Facebook. I see the Facebook hearts and likes have jumped up a little bit, so appreciate you guys, you Facebook listeners. Would you trade 2 firsts and Shelby Harris to Green Bay for Rodgers? If so, do you think they would go for it? State of being #New Mexico. Number 1, absolutely. That's not a 2 firsts and Shelby Harris, who's, I believe, 30 years old. I don't know how much Green Bay would want Shelby Harris, given his age. And also, I don't know if the Broncos would. He just signed a contract, so he'd have a lot of dead cap. I think Green Bay would be looking for more of somebody that has is on a rookie contract still. But would I do that trade? No, I wouldn't even think about it. I love Shelby Harris. But for Aaron Rodgers, yes. Would Green Bay go for it? No way. They're looking for Jerry Jeudy, and Noah Fant, Bradley Chubb, a Dre'Mont Jones, maybe. Somebody who's an ascending player and picks on picks on picks.
Yeah, and you ask yourself, would Broncos do it? Would you? Yes. Would they? It takes 2 to tango on that one. But again, I don't think Rodgers is going to be the type of guy that will sit out, pout. He's when the whistle blows, he's going to play his hardest. That's the only time. If they hold your feet to the fire like that, then you might have to sell for lower than you want. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to do that. I just don't. I think he's too good of a professional, despite all the noise going around this year. Now, we said it was a little too early for Mahomes, but I found it very interesting that one of your best recruiters right now might be Patrick Mahomes. With him talking about it'd be interesting to have him have Aaron Rodgers come west. Wow,
yeah.
Thanks.
I would take that, please. Yeah, the Broncos are in a pretty precarious situation when it comes to where they stand in the pecking order of the AFC West, given it's not just Mahomes also. It's Herbert, who I'd like to see him stack another good season before we, crown him or anything. But no doubt he was pretty darn impressive last season. And also that was in a new team, new offense, totally new scheme from Oregon, new guys all around him, and in a pandemic shortened off season. Certainly didn't seem to bother Justin Herbert that much as he goes out and breaks all these rookie quarterback passing records. If I guess different standards for different quarterbacks. But we got Richie Rich coming in here saying, Scott and Nick, what are the positions you expected more out of and are not seeing good play from? Really hard to say with 7-on-7s, Richie Rich, right? Like, and it's hard to say because they're only going against each other so far, right? Like the Broncos secondary, especially cornerback, very deep. Don't have Kyle Fuller. I guess I'm disappointed Kyle Fuller's not there, just because it'd be good to hear about how he's looking and how he's driving and what the rotations look like with how deep the cornerback room is. But as far as like expected to see more of and not seeing good play, I don't, with 7-on-7s, that's almost impossible to say from where we sit.
Well, and for me on that, I'm not going to say who would I expect more of from watching play, because I'm not watching practice, unfortunately. But one of the things that has me nervous right now is KJ Hamler. You know, that's who I want to see go is, you know, who do I expect more from? Well, it's not his fault, but this could be a big piece to the puzzle, and he's still not out there. And it's the same lingering hamstring injury. Man, you know, you wonder, is it ever going to happen for him? You start getting those doubts, and I'm sure he's starting to worry a little bit about it too, where, you know, and maybe it ends up being, you know, this is, you know, down the line, but, you know, these guys' bodies are still developing till they're 25, 26 years old, where it finally either just gives out on him or he finally gets healthy, and by then you've moved on and he goes and has a good career for the next, you know, last 6 years of his career somewhere else. But Hamler's the one that scares me right now. That hamstring, those lingering hamstring issues are just, they're scary.
I guess the one that I was hoping to hear more positives from, I guess, would be Drew Lock, just because, you know, everything going on in the work this offseason. But it sounds like early on, and I'm not putting much weight on it at all, but like he's throwing the ball short pretty constantly, and the accuracy is apparently pretty sporadic on the short passes, which not what you want to hear. But it's very early. I'm not putting hardly any weight on it. It's just some information that's out there right now, and we'll see how it evolves. EJ coming in here. Thoughts on Jeudy saying Lock throws too hard? I don't remember him saying Lock throws too hard, but he definitely said he threw hard. Could that be a reason for his drops last year? That's probably a part of it. Jerry Jeudy did not play with any true like rocket arms at Alabama. Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones. Neither guy is known for having a cannon. Also part of it is just the timing, right? Like Jerry Jeudy in his interview, he was talking about how sometimes he would do like too many moves to set up to get open. And by that point, like as the primary read, and by that point, the quarterback was either having to get off a spot or come off the read by the time Jeudy was getting open. So timing's everything. You have to know when you can pick your spots with how many moves you can do to create separation and when's the best time to do it. So Jeudy can get separation, but it's knowing when to use what move based on where you are in the progressions. And I think it's starting to come together. I'm expecting a big year from Jerry Jeudy as long as the quarterback play can get him the ball on time in the right spot.
And that's part of the maturation process. You know, we talk about Jeudy and who can take that step up. And a lot of it depends on the quarterback play. But, you know, I read an article, it was a while ago, and things have changed a little bit because kids have been coming playing 7-on-7 all through high school. They're basically playing passing football year round. It's a passing league. But several years ago, I read an article that was going through the development of wide receivers. And it was really year 3 where they took off, which was surprising to me. But, you know, and I would accelerate that a little bit now for the reasons I just said. But he should take a step up. He should take a big step up this year. He's certainly talented enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And CC coming in here saying, how about the Surtain buzz? All reports coming out of Dove Valley is praise for him. I'm really impressed with his ability and want to pick up the playbook. Yeah, Surtain, he's extremely young too. I think he's only 21 years old. Nick Saban praised him for his intelligence. It was the only other defensive back I can remember Nick Saban talking about as highly when it comes to the intelligence factors was Minka Fitzpatrick. And Surtain's a better athlete and younger coming out than Fitzpatrick was. So that's great. I'm excited for him. It's unfortunate for Surtain that his career will probably always be linked to Justin Fields for as long as the Broncos don't have a quarterback, kind of like Bradley Chubb is linked to Josh Allen as what could have been, even though Chubb's been great. But Broncos got a good player at one of the most valuable positions in football, and they got 5 years of control for somebody who looks like he can be a Pro Bowler at minimum. So hard to be that upset about that. So I'm really excited about that. I mean, it's coming from Dove Valley right now, right? And everybody's not there to watch it, and we won't really know until we know. But it does sound like Surtain is going to be a great pick for the Broncos and a piece that honestly this team needed another back seven defining building block kind of player back there. It was just Justin Simmons. Now you got Surtain as well. Defense is really starting to come together for the next 4 or 5 years.
I was gonna say 10, for that position long term. And a lot of how we judge Surtain, I think he's going to stand alone. You get a Pro Bowl corner, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep an eye on Fields. A lot of that depends on how he does.
Yeah,
but what Nick said is also, that echoed in my head a little bit, was as long as the Broncos don't have a quarterback sex up, you forget about Justin Fields and you're happy to have Surtain. 100%. So we'll see how that goes. Now, getting back to the 7-on-7s a little bit and the intrigue and what you can start seeing, I tell you, the one that I would definitely be watching is that safety position. Mm-hmm. Kareem Jackson's not long for the Denver Broncos. One more year. This year probably. So who's going to step in next year? For this year, it's good. I also started thinking of if there's an injury or the depth. So let's I'm interested in what Jamar Johnson and Caden Stearns are doing. So I'll be interested to see them and get the reports out of them, because you can start taking things away from coverage on defensive backs, because the wide receivers and corners translate the best to 7-on-7 to what you actually see on the field. It's not quite the same because they're still not getting hit. Saw a question earlier. It says, this may sound like a stupid question, but who gets left out in a 7-on-7? And theoretically, it's actually 6-on-7, because the seventh player on offense is the center. And a lot of times they won't use them. So you got 4 receivers, quarterback, running back, center. And then after that, it'll be 3, depending on what package they do, they could do 2 linebackers, but then it's the defensive line that's out. 2 linebackers, 5 in a nickel package, or even 1 linebacker and a dime. But if you run a fullback or 2 tight ends, but it's 4 receivers and a running back, basically 6 skill guys and a center is what you have on offense. So it's theoretically 6-on-7, because you've got 5 guys out in pass going against 7 in coverage.
Yeah, and when you say receivers, you're including tight ends in that.
Yes.
So just to clarify. So thank you for the question on YouTube, BD Dunton. And if you like Scott's answer, make sure you sub to his page as well. Transition there, youtube.com/the/Scott Kennedy. I was just there. He is right up against 800 there. So maybe we can get him to the over that threshold by the time this episode is over. But good question. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Bob Skinner in the house. How you doing, Bob? Good morning, Broncos country. Mohammed, since there is no John today, I cannot pull up the super sticker. I'm going to assume it is that voluptuous pair that you like to go with. That man, she thick. But that's we appreciate you, Mohammed, and hopefully everything's going well in your world. I know that you are I don't know if a new father, but a father to a newborn, Malik. So hope things are going well there, Mohammed. Everybody say hello to Malik in the chat as well. That's a pretty awesome thing there. I know Chad has also been busy with his own Theo coming in here. Greg Smith coming in the house here. Good morning, fellas. Good to see you. Peter over in Turkey. Hey, smiley face. How you doing? Good to see you, Peter. Always good to see you. Let's go to Adam here. Drew was working with the 2s versus the 1s on defense. I think we should take that into account. That's a good point. My understanding is they've rotated them evenly so far. Drew got the 1s early on versus the 2s, and they'll continue to rotate that. But that is a good point. Maybe a little less so with the defense this year, given how, especially in 7-on-7s, the Broncos' cornerback room is deep, very, very deep. And I think that is going to make it, when the Broncos 2s are going against the 1s are going against the 2s, still going to be an issue. But also you can say the same thing for the wide receiver room. Wide receiver room is deep as well. So Broncos looking pretty good on the boundary. We'll see how they look in the trenches this year and how the quarterback plays. And Scott, I always have an issue with this, just kind of steering us here for a second. Everybody takes away a lot from OTAs, practices, scrimmages, et cetera, et cetera. I always find it a zero-sum game, right? Because you don't really know about how it is for your team. Like I remember 2016, that was one of my first years covering the Broncos, and OTAs, everyone's like, oh my God, the Broncos secondary is even better than they were in 2015. No fly zone 2.0. It's going to be amazing. They were still really good, but turns out it was a zero sum because the Broncos offense, wide receivers, the quarterback play, abysmal. Like, right. It's like, if one guy's winning on your side, that means another guy's probably losing on the other side.
I found in spring practice, what you call it in college, and in OTAs, maybe more so in college, the place that's going to excel is the one that needs the most work. Because our offense is struggling. We're going to work on our offense. We're going to set them up we're not going to blitz. We're going to keep our best pass rushers out of the game. We're going to give this off confidence. Otherwise, if I'm having trouble on offense and I got Von Miller out there and he's ending every play, what am I learning? What am I getting better at? I'm not getting better at anything because Von Miller's ending every play. So we're going to keep Von Miller on the bench. And now we're gonna throw. Hey, the offense looks better all of a sudden. Well, yeah, because the best player on defense isn't out there. So again, like you're saying, you always have to ask your question when you're seeing, man, the offense looks great. Why? Again, I like data. I also want to know answers. Why? Is it because they're holding back the defense or because the defense sucks? Well, we know that's not going to be the case. So you have to have all the information to take those type of things in because you're playing in a vacuum. Until you line up against somebody else, you don't know.
Yep. Zero sum. It's unfortunate, but either way, it's fun to see those guys out there. It's real new football that's happening, so that's always good. Peter Middleton coming in here with a good question. It's still early. It's still the early days, but Broncos have had many poor second-round decisions except for Cortland Sutton. Will Locke and Hamler join that list? I love Hamler, but if you can't play, you won't stay in the league. And I want to push back here. I know that I am definitely critical of Locke. I do not grade him on the curve. I compare him to NFL starting quarterbacks. But for a second-round pick, I would say that Locke is, at minimum, average return on investment for the quarterback position, if not above average. If you go and look at and it's one reason that I'm like, if you don't use a top 15 pick on quarterback position, it's a scratcher ticket as far as the odds to hit. Your odds are really long if you're not using an early pick on the quarterback position. League does a pretty good job at identifying the haves or the have-nots at the quarterback position in the last decade. So Locke, even if, let's say Locke continues to play like he has, that's not the worst in the world because he's out there. You can win some football games with Locke as he's played so far. It's not like he's Christian Hackenberg out there. It's not like he's Deshaun Kaiser, right? Like there's a lot of bad non-first round quarterbacks, second round quarterbacks.
Did
Locke,
Kaiser get drafted in the second round?
He did. Yep, Cleveland Browns, second round.
I just remember I wasn't, doing NFL draft at the time, but you see these early mock drafts and stuff, and you're like, Deshaun Kaiser, really? Why?
He's big and tall with an arm.
I'm
right?
like, golly, would you folks just pay me 10% of what you're wasting to tell you what not to do? Don't draft Deshaun Kaiser in the second round. It seemed like some of them listened, though, with the way these quarterbacks fell out of the draft completely this year. Felipe Franks, who signed as a free agent. I'm like, I wouldn't draft him. And who's the kid that bounced from Georgia to Wake Forest?
Jamie Newman.
Oh, no. No, don't. And, he fell out of there, too. I can't believe Deshaun Kaiser. So going back to second rounds, I'm excited to see Javonta Williams.
Yes.
You get 4 or 5 years of high production out of that. You're pretty happy with that second round pick, plus whatever it costs you to move up a little bit. But I'm pretty excited to watch Javonta Williams play in this offense. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And with no Melvin Gordon there, obviously guys are trying to protect themselves. And in 7-on-7s, like how valuable is it for Melvin Gordon to be there? I don't know. Like Kyle Fuller, it would be good to have him out there for 7-on-7s, just for especially for chemistry and continuity with his teammates. That's really important as a Vic Fangio defense. Go ahead.
The two positions you learn the least about in 7-on-7s is running back and linebacker. Flat out. If you're not if you're not hitting or being hit at running back and linebacker, you don't know what you've got. You know nothing. Yep. So those, for me, it's nice for rookies to be there just to learn the playbook. That's it. Just to make sure you know where to be and when. That's it. That's all you're getting out of it. And that's a lot for a rookie, but not for a veteran.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Maybe you learn even less about the defensive line and the tackles and the guards, but
they're not even 7-on-7. They're not playing.
Yeah, I know. Dre'Mont Jones yesterday was asked about the quarterback battle. He's like, I don't give a bleep. I don't know. I'm not out there, so I can't tell you. I'm not even close to that when that's going down. So if people asking about the 7-on-7s, Dre'Mont Jones is not out there for that. Not yet. We should get 11-on-11s, I think, as soon as next week. So that'll be fun. I'm really interested to see how the tackle depth does and how the Broncos, just the defensive line looks, right? Like McTelvin Agim is somebody that needs to step up this year. Edge rushing depth behind Chubb and Vaughn. So it'll be interesting. Those are positions that remain to be seen. CC coming back in here rocking the Quinn Miners gut from the Senior Bowl there. Scott and Nick, do you legitimately think Surtain can and will be a top 10 cornerback in the league? I think he can be. And I think that he is a lot of cornerbacks they're pretty scheme specific. Like if you put a cornerback in the wrong spot, like James Bradbury, right? Like he's so scheme specific for what he did. Great for that, what Ron Rivera was running there, but then went off and fell off. Another one that's classic scheme specific. This might be a little bit older for some of you guys, but do you remember Namdi Asamoah? Really good for the Raiders there for a long time. Only played on the one side, played a very specific defensive scheme there with the Raiders. Went to the Eagles. They tried to play more man, and oh my God, he did not look nearly as good. Another one, Richard Sherman. If you're asking Richard Sherman to play off coverage or something like that. So cornerbacks, different schemes fit different guys. I think with this Vic Fangio defense specifically, Surtain maybe doesn't have the off coverage that you historically have seen from Vic Fangio on the boundary cornerback, but I think Surtain is versatile in a sense where he can play safety, he can play nickel, he can play boundary, and Vic Fangio has shown a propensity, despite being an old head, being one of the best innovators in defense in football and putting guys in a position to succeed. So can Surtain be a top 10 cornerback in this league? Absolutely.
Yeah, my answer is yes. Nice and simple. Now, my question going back to your commentary was, would you have considered at one point Richard Sherman to be a top 10 corner in this league? Yeah, yes. Without a doubt. So, and Surtain's going to have a similar skill set to him with his size and his physicality. And I hate that word, physicality. I'm going to have to come up with something I like better than that. But he can certainly be a top 10 guy. Will he? Yes. Is he going to be right away? No. Yeah. No, I don't expect him to be this year. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's got a lot of things to learn, and anticipation is worth 2 steps on a football field. We get all tied up with these 40 times and all this stuff, but knowing where to be and when and seeing it in advance is worth 0.2 of a second on a 40-yard dash, and that comes with time. That's not going to come right away.
Yeah, good point. And we got Tommy Bruhana coming in here over on Twitch. Thank you, Tommy. And this is a good comment. Saw a report yesterday that Bridgewater actually had 2 drop pick sixes in 7-on-7s. Don't know how they can be pick sixes if they were dropped, especially in 7-on-7s, but either way, picks in 7-on-7s, kind of evening out the battle again. I find it interesting that it's hard to find any reports on it when everyone freaked out about the one lock pick last week. And lock's a powder keg right now, right? Either way, a lot of people are dug in on both sides. I'm trying to dig myself out of either way because I really was hoping for a Fields or a Lance in the draft, but didn't play out that way. So digging myself out. But why did everyone freak out? It's because there's so much intrigue about Locke right now, and just his issues have been interceptions. That's probably his biggest issue. And when he's throwing them, people are going to be concerned about it. And I think a lot of people are really sensitive about it in both directions. Yeah,
why are people freaking out about it? Was because one happened and the others didn't.
Yeah,
that might be one of the reasons. So, I'm again, it's 7-on-7s. It's the first time out there. It's first live action. Don't read too much into anything that you're reading out there. This quarterback battle is going to go on all year. I mean, There's only two ways this quarterback battle gets settled. 1, Aaron Rodgers comes in. 2, someone gets hurt. God forbid. Otherwise, what's the old saying? The most popular position in football, the backup quarterback. That's not going to change. That's been around for 50 years.
Yeah.
So expect more hyperbole and overreactions,
especially in the offseason, right? Like that's just like, what do we have to go on? Everything is, if you're reacting on anything, it's probably an overreaction, but it's football, right? Toss the crumbs down, everyone jumps down. We're like a bunch of pigeons right now in Central Park. We got Olio coming in here with the super sticker over across the pond, the $5 euros on YouTube. Thank you very much, Olio. Again, you'll have to let us know in the comment section what it is, because I cannot leave this with to go pull up what they are. So thank you very much. Oh, Muhammad's saying she thick, so it must have been the pair. We appreciate that, and congrats, Muhammad, again on Malik. And guys, again, Miguel, call of action coming in here from Miguel. Don't forget to check out Scott's page on YouTube, and I will drop it in the comment section again right now, so you guys can click that and enjoy. It's got a lot of good content there coming in. So thank you very much, Olio, for the super sticker as well. Here's a good comment here from Josiah Hicks over on YouTube. I think Williams is a dark horse for this year, and I'm going to even take it a step further. Javonta Williams, dark horse for Rookie of the Year, potentially. What do you think, Scott? I mean, it's all these quarterbacks.
I think there's going to be too many starting quarterbacks.
Okay, yeah.
That they're just going to have the numbers. Who all do you think is going to start at quarterback? Trevor Lawrence for sure. And what are the 49ers going to do? So it's Trey Lance. You give up 3 first-round picks. You're going to sit Trey Lance for a year. So Justin Fields is going to play a lot. So I think it's going to be too many quarterbacks. If Julio Jones is gone, Kyle Pitts is going to get 80 catches. They're going to throw to him a ton. So I think it'll be tough for him to be Rookie of the Year, but certainly into consideration. Now, how about a dark horse if Hamler doesn't get in? How about the other Williams? How about Seth Williams? How about him coming in as a dark horse to come in and contribute? Not Rookie of the Year. Not Rookie of the Year. I'm just saying come in and surprise some people. How about him coming in surprising some people?
I like Seth Williams. I feel like I'm very much of the mindset that you build your wide receiver room like a basketball team. Guys with different body types, different skill sets, et cetera, et cetera. Seth has a lot of overlap with what you already have in Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. So I see people asking, what if KJ Hamler's hurt and out for a while? Who's the name to watch? Seth Williams, I'm excited about, but I think the name to watch is Tyree Cleveland. I think he's a little bit more twitched up. I think he can do a little bit more from the slot and the Z position. Obviously, Deshaun Hamilton also injured ACL, so he's not a name that you can watch. So I'm going to throw Tyree Cleveland out there. I think he is the name to watch. I actually thought he good special teams reps last year, but he impressed in the limited chances he had out there. I'm excited to see him in preseason. Those are the kind of guys when I'm watching preseason football. Yeah, the starters are out there. That's great. But like, what's going on at the back end of the roster, guys? Who's going to earn those spots? Who's stepping up? Who's somebody to keep an eye on going forward that might really hit something?
Well, see, and I kind of like saying that, I like building it like a basketball team too. Big and fast with good ups.
Yeah.
And Seth Williams certainly fits that bill as well. So, no, I was just, when he said Williams and didn't specify as a dark horse, like, yeah, let's go. Let's play with this one a little bit because I'm a big fan of what I think Seth Williams can be. I think he's got a year to learn at least to play to play the position, to be in a pro style offense, to do all of those things, to become a pro because physically he's there. He's a second round type guy. Physically. So it's going to take him at least a year to get going. But a hell of a draft, hell of a value pick in the 6th round, I believe he got taken.
I mean, you draft him and you hope that he shows enough this year where you're like, okay, Tim Patrick, we love you. Good luck elsewhere because we cannot pay you in Cortland Sutton. And there's our backup X. You put him a year in the fermentation chamber. There comes Seth Williams. And speaking of coming here comes Pavi. Another big, generous super chat donation here, $33 for who's 33 on the Broncos right now? Is that Javonta Williams or is he 30? He was drafted 35.
That's my number.
33 is your number.
It's like 3. I won't get into it, but 3 is a big number in my life. And part of it goes back to my favorite player as a kid was Tony Dorsett. Dorsett, 33. Big 3-3. Right. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much again. It's something we talk about on and offline a lot is the generosity and helping us out here. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Enjoying the Broncos for breakfast very much. Orange heart, blue heart for the Broncos, of course. Thanks, guys. Well, Bobby, thank you very much. And hopefully you're doing well right now also as everybody's having pandemic babies. Bobby is a relatively new aunt, or not a new aunt, but somebody brought into this world and an aunt. So hopefully things are going well out in Iowa. I miss Iowa. I am loving the mountains out here in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest, but miss family. And spring, when really starts to emerge, summer in Iowa, especially early summer, the lightning bugs starting to come out. Oh, it's a good time. I don't know. This just reminded me. So are you in cicada country right now? Like with the massive cicada thing going on in the world?
I don't think so, but I saw a bug I didn't recognize yesterday. It looked like almost like a cross between, do you know what a stink bug is? They look like shovel heads almost. Yes. And then a cross between that and like a praying mantis. So that may have been it. It wasn't a locust. That's what we have down here, the locusts that are so loud.
Okay.
So
cicadas and locusts might be the same thing.
But I worry most about mosquitoes and yellow jackets down in the south.
Well, I saw that the FDA yesterday put out an announcement saying, people, if you have a shellfish allergy, please do not eat cicadas. They have a similar thing in them that causes allergic reaction.
Good tip. I won't be eating them soon, but they got to be good grilled over the open flame and put in between like s'mores. Add a little extra crunch there. But yeah.
Oh God, they probably are high in nutrients, right?
I'll remember that. And CC has a good comment here. It says Cleveland is quickly becoming a high value pick in the 7th round. He was the number 1 receiver in the country coming out of high school. And you don't get that. We miss on guys too with the college football recruiting stuff, but you don't get that unless you're a freak of an athlete. Some of the questions we had about him, I think he was coming out of Texas. For some reason, I think he was coming out of Houston, somewhere in that area. Does he have the maturity, so to speak? That's a nice way of saying he had some off the field problems. To take the next level. But the physical tools are there. He was a number 1 receiver, 5 stars next to his name, and you don't do that unless you're a freak. Yeah,
he is a 5 stars don't always equal great NFL talent, but it certainly doesn't help or doesn't hurt. So it gives you a leg up. That they have some physical talent there. Michael in the house too. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Go Broncos. Very much. Also, I saw Christy was in here. I do not see where her comment went, but Christy, who's always a big supporter of all the Broncos shows. We appreciate. Oh, there she is. Christy, good morning. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you have a great day as well. And Christy, I saw that both your daughters finished this year with a 4.0. So that speaks to them, but also speaks to you. So congratulations to that. I know you got to be really proud, but I figured they deserve some airtime. If they're putting in the work in school and getting a 4.0 and doing all the extracurriculars they do as well, softball, I believe. That's awesome. Right? That's so cool. So congratulations to them and congratulations to you as well. Charlie, coming in.
Real quick, before we get back to our bugs, US Dave asked me, did I remember that Tony Dorsett was a Bronco? Actually, I didn't remember that. I had forgotten it. I know it was towards the tail end of his career, and I kind of forget. Yeah, I associate those guys, except for maybe Joe Montana with, because he had a run with the Chiefs. But, I kind of forget, like Emmett was a Cardinal, wasn't he? Didn't he go to Arizona? You kind of block that out of your mind. And your long-term memory just associates them with, what made them stars. So I'd forgotten that. Good call on that. Thank you.
My favorite is Jerry Rice as a Bronco. I
couldn't have told you that. I remember him as a Raider. I couldn't have told you Jerry Rice played for Denver. I could not have told you that.
Yeah, I don't think he even made the team, but I remember he was on Madden in like 2005 as the Broncos, and he didn't even officially make the 53-man roster, but the Broncos did up their big press room for his retirement, just because it's freaking Jerry Rice.
When I think of greatest football player of all time, two that spring right to mind, except for obvious guys, are Jerry Rice and Lawrence Taylor for me. The greatest players of all time. It wouldn't take me long to hit their names. Top 5 for me for sure.
Yep. They need a Hall of Fame in the Hall of Fame, and those guys would be in it. No doubt. Maybe Platinum Hall of Fame members. But let me see. We got Kareem asking us here. And hello, Kareem over in North Carolina. Good to see you this morning. Nick, are you planning to go in any NFL games this year? Seahawks, perhaps. I would love to. The Seahawks are a hard ticket to get in this city. They're very popular. It's unlike going to, not that the Mariners aren't popular, but when you have 82 games compared to what it'll be 8 or 9 for a 17-game season. A little harder, but I would love to go to a game. That Seahawks stadium looks beautiful as well. I'd love to kind of take in the Legion of Boom. I know the Broncos play them for preseason. I don't know what they'll be for capacity-wise in preseason, but I'd love to go. Have you been to a Seahawks game? I know you're talking.
I've not been to a Seahawks game. I don't remember the last time I went to an NFL game, honestly. This background here, I actually took this picture. I'm more likely to go to London and go to Stamford Bridge than I am 20 miles down the road to Atlanta. I am an Atlanta United season ticket holder, so I go to those more often. But with both of my kids playing at least 2 sports, my weekends are fairly tied up, and I can't invest 5 hours into a game. And that's just getting there and back. That doesn't count any extracurriculars.
For sure. Jake coming in here asking, if Hamler is hurt this season, should we give Tim Patrick a contract to replace Hamler? I think you're not looking about Tim Patrick versus Hamler. It's Tim Patrick versus Cortland Sutton. And if Cortland Sutton gets injured again, or Tim Patrick is dominant, you could definitely see Patrick get a contract. I would love to bring Patrick back. He's a great player. But you're talking about two mostly tip profiles X receivers. I think you'll see Patrick as some Z this season as well to get Jeudy in the slot, some for that 11 personnel. But you're talking about two different types of guys, right? Like it's like Hamler's a point guard compared to Tim Patrick playing power forward, right? Like it's like, okay, they both play basketball, but they're asked to do different things out there. So and it's also just gets down to how specialized a lot of these positions actually are, even in the positions themselves, right? Like as cornerback, wide receiver, tight end, safeties, even like just because they say safety or position doesn't mean that they are a 1-for-1 with another guy at the position. A lot of guys are asked to do a lot of different things. I mean, like imagine comparing, it's not to this extent, but imagine comparing Wes Welker to Randy Moss, right? Like they both play wide receiver, do completely different things. Just different skill sets. Well,
and you got to start asking how much money you're going to invest in the position. It's there is a cap, and if Jerry Jeudy will be coming up, after a year. I mean, not in 1 year, but you got to start thinking about Jerry Jeudy. What's Cortland Sutton going to do? There's going to be a stack of those guys. I don't think you can really have more than two big money receivers on your team, unless you're the Atlanta Falcons and being run by Thomas Dimitroff, who plays like it's a 7-on-7 team. But again, you got to start making. You're gonna have some hard choices to make, but those are good choices. Hopefully, those are good choices. When you're choosing between areas of strength, that's good. So you're hoping these guys are going to step up, and you can't afford them because they produced. So it's like, that guy sucks and he's going to leave you anyway. Well, which is it? Why would he leave me if he sucked? And if he's really good, well, thank you. We'll wish him well. We can't afford to keep him.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You can't pay everybody, right? And that's one reason that Tim Patrick was talked a lot about as a guy who might be traded. I think if Cortland Sutton wasn't injured, you might have actually seen that. But this Broncos team is going for it this year. However, if the Broncos slip, let's say they start off 2-5 or something, you might see somebody like Tim Patrick shopped, and maybe you can get a fourth, or I would hope for a 4th round pick, or maybe something equivalent to a late 4th that has like a 5th and a 2023 4 or 5, something that can equal the value of a late 4 in this upcoming draft. But we'll see. That's if the Broncos kind of fall off the rails there. So got a question here coming in from Kevin over on Facebook. Hey guys, love your pod. By what week of preseason do you think the Broncos pick who will be the starting quarterback? Scott, you kind of hinted at this earlier, what you thought.
What's the last week of the preseason?
Week 3.
then after week 3, I don't think they name a starter until the week of the first game. And even then, I think it'll be in question. I don't think the quarterback battle's closed off after that, no matter what they say. There's a phrase I've used forever that coaches lie so much they don't call it lying, they call it coach speak. So even if they come out and say, this is our guy, well, he's our guy until he throws 3 interceptions, and we're going to make a change. Yeah. So I don't think – I wouldn't expect a starter to be named until week 1 of the season. But we'll see. Yeah,
and I wanted to get to this comment here from it made me look it up, Jason. Out of the top 10 linebackers drafted, or linebacker prospects drafted, I think Zayvon Collins was the only one over 240. Micah Parsons was over 240.
Micah was, yep.
I'm not sure if Browning was one in the top 10 linebackers drafted, but he was also over 240. So that's another one. And Jamin Davis. What was Jamin Davis? He had to be pushing it. I mean, he's a little wiry, but he's so big that.
And we got to start also looking at the guys that were defensive ends that'll play linebacker. That'll be that size. Azeez Ojulari. Could end up being that. But that was one of the questions we had. It's like, why not Azeez or Micah Parsons? When you're talking about, I'm like, well, Micah's bigger than Azeez Ojulari, for God's sakes. So Micah is he's a difference maker. He's 250. He's 247. He'll play at 250, running sub 4.4 with a shuttle and instincts and everything. He's going to be a hell of a player for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and we got Chad coming in here asking, do you think incoming quarterbacks, Bridgewater, share some offensive playbooks, Sean Payton? Thanks, good stuff, guys. I mean, I maybe would change some of the language to this, like just some schemes or some concepts, specifically like this is what works for me. This is what I liked. Also, you heard Drew Lock in his press conference say that he's told Sherman some stuff that he doesn't like specifically. running, and they're going to chuck it out of the playbook, maybe tweak things a little bit to make sure that it improves. So absolutely. And I said it last Tuesday also. This past Tuesday. A lot of people want to give Drew Lock a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with everything that's going on in the world, and I get it. It's been a weird offseason, and they made it a weird offseason, but that also goes for the play callers as well, right? They don't know as much as what they would typically have, and it took them a little bit longer to kind of tweak things to their personnel and what guys were comfortable with. And you saw that down the stretch last year, not only with Drew Lock improving his play, but also Shermer tailoring things more under center, more play action, more 12 personnel that helped Drew Lock play better. So I think it goes both ways. And I would expect Shermer this year, given that it's going to be a little bit more normal, to have more tweaking and customizing things to what the quarterback does well. Now, the big question, though, and it's not as drastic as when the Broncos had Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch, but if you have two quarterbacks who do different things well, you have a little bit more pressure to figure things out quickly because you're going to tailor your offense to your starter, and that changes what you're doing personnel-wise, scheme-wise, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one of the big, at least in my opinion. What do you think there?
Yeah, and for me, just take the word book out of it, and you're right. Do they share some plays? Yeah, absolutely. And not even if they're not even talking to Shermer, because I see Charlie Beagle has kind of a funny comment. It's like, here's how we did it in New Orleans, and say, hey, Teddy, how about you shut up? Well, that's funny. But absolutely, that's part of the experience and learning things from different coaches and taking it with you. That's one of the reasons you bring Teddy Bridgewater in. So It's like, well, we've seen this before, and we see this coverage when we played against this team. Instead of breaking this way, you break that way, or we rotate this tackle over here to cover. So you're absolutely sharing plays. We know this worked well against this team or against this guy, against this player at this time, this down and distance. So you're going to want to tailor to strengths. And why would you go away from what's worked before? If they've had success in the past, then yes, they absolutely bring stuff with them from other plays. In fact, Teddy said so. He's learned stuff from Sean Payton. He's learned stuff at Carolina from is it Joe Brady? Learned stuff there, and he's bringing that knowledge with him that makes him a better quarterback. So yeah, absolutely.
Yep, no, that's a good call. You have to do that, right? You have to lean into those guys and talk to them. So is what it is.
The coaches talk to each other. Opposing quarterbacks talk to each other. That's all part of being a professional. They're not bringing the playbook here you go. That'd make the news, but they're all gleaning stuff and sharing their knowledge and experience. Absolutely.
Yeah, nope, that's a good call. I want to get to this question here from Kareem coming in here. June 2nd has come and gone. Is there another date we should keep an eye on regarding Aaron Rodgers? So it's obviously OTAs right now. It's voluntary OTAs. If Rodgers is not there by the start of actual Green Bay training camp, then that's one you should look out for, because if he's still playing hardball, then that's really starts to put pressure on the Packers. And then preseason as well. It's not that Aaron Rodgers would probably even play preseason. Does he need to? I don't know. Like, they're not bringing in a bunch of new weapons or whatnot. It's not a new scheme. But every single one of those dates when it's the things ramp up towards the regular season is another, I would say, a clutch or a choke point for movement here in this Rodgers saga.
And Kareem, it'd be a bad look if he missed all the preseason, but he doesn't need a preseason.
No,
he's certainly experienced enough. You want your quarterback there, but how about September 12th? The first game of the year. That to me, that's a deadline. That's a drop dead deadline for him. So you don't want him. He doesn't want to miss the whole preseason. But if he's not at the preseason, it's not really going to affect what you see on the field. It'll affect morale, and that could have an effect on the season. So, I think the first preseason game's August 14th against the Texans. How about that for your quarterback drama? Green Bay and Houston. Who's quarterback there?
I can't wait to watch Tyrod Taylor versus Jordan Love. Man, what a barn burner.
It'll be interesting. I don't know how much they've actually seen Jordan Love in Green Bay, after drafting him. So, but for intriguing games, that one's intriguing. Who's going to be the quarterbacks? So, coming out of this year between Houston and Green Bay.
Do you think Shermer is a strength or a weakness? I think he is a neutral. I don't think he's a massive innovator, but also it's not like super conservative Rich Scangarello out there having spats with the head coach. Don't want to get too far into that. Or Mike McCoy, who's just making a living, or Adam Gase making a living off of their connection to Peyton Manning. So he's probably the Broncos' best offensive coordinator they've had in a bit, but he's not really, a huge difference maker. I just don't think he's going to kill you. I'd say his biggest weakness is his scheme is not overly simple for the quarterback, right? Like your quarterback has to be able to go through their reads. It's not like this Kyle Shanahan offense where like the first read is typically open like a lot of times, which, great. Kyle Shanahan does that, but Shermer asks you to be able, the quarterback to be cerebral and go through reads and go different places based on what the coverage is. And if your quarterback can't do that, offense is going to have issues.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of keep it simple, stupid. The blocking schemes. I mean, the offensive line. It's sometimes your smartest guys, on the field. And again, I go back to the Denver heyday of just churning out 2,000-yard rushers. That makes for good quarterbacks when your offensive line is like that. So as a strength, as a weakness, I'm going to plead ignorance on him. But when I start hearing, we have to dumb down the playbook, I start cringing a little bit. I don't like to hear that. It's these guys start to think they're trading nuclear secrets out there sometimes and try and outsmart themselves, and just keep it simple. It's still football. Bigger, faster, stronger is still going to win a lot of football games. And if you make it too complicated, then everybody slows down. I said a few minutes ago that anticipation is worth 2 steps. Well, if you're in your head and you're not reacting instinctively, everything goes slower.
Yep. That's why a lot of times you see with defensive players, things kind of slow down and they start to react instead of think. And that's when magic happens, especially for those good athletes. We got Tyler coming in here saying, I know we shouldn't get too excited about anything at this time of year, but as our position group you can start to get a good feel for, is the hype for Surtain too soon? Well, that's cornerback is one position where guys are going to be put on islands and you're going to kind of be able to pick apart the haves or the have-nots. And same for wide receiver. Is the hype too soon for Surtain? He's still going to have his ups and downs this season. I mean, we saw it last year with 2 top 10 picks at cornerback. Jeff Okudah, number 3 overall. Granted, the scheme was not good, but he struggled a lot. So did CJ Henderson. So there will probably still be some ups and downs for Surtain, but is the hype too soon? I don't think so. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's a great scheme fit. I think he's exceptionally intelligent. And is he the best cornerback in this class as far as like leave a guy on an island and cover him like down? Let's say there's a fade ball or down at the red zone. Would I pick Patrick Surtain over anybody based on the film? Maybe not. Maybe that would be Caleb Farley. I think he was probably the best one-on-one cornerback in this class. But as far as like back 7 working as a whole, Patrick Surtain might have been the best cornerback here because he's so smart and he's going to be able to communicate and know not only what he's doing, but what everybody else is doing as well. So I don't think the hype is too soon. Not at all.
Well, and for me, the question for me is what level is the hype? I always answer that when it's like, is this guy's so overrated? I'm like, well, it depends. What do you rate him? That's a relative question. If you think, is the hype, this is going to be a Pro Bowl corner? Yeah, that's too soon. Or he could be a big contributor to this defense and he looks really good. No, that's not too soon. That's true. Mm-hmm. And going back to Nick's point, for me, who is he covering? If he's in against OBJ, then I'd like somebody maybe a little smaller and a little twitchier. But if he's going against Julio Jones, yeah, I want Surtain out there. I want somebody that has size that can match up with him, relatively physically. So, I don't think the hype is too soon, depending on what you think the hype is.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a variable that needs answered. Chad coming in here. Is the Fangio defense mostly zone, almost prevent, and we will play red zone defense, or was it because of all the injuries last year? I'm going to try my best to parse through this, Chad. Fangio's defense is mostly zone. It's kind of a hybrid, right? It's a match zone. So like it looks like zone until a player comes into your zone and then you take that player like man coverage. But it is mostly keep things in front of you, prevent the big play, rally to the football. And I think the days of defensive football where it's like, we're not giving up any yards, 3 and outs constantly, et cetera, with how the rule changes have impacted the game. I think those days are gone. I think if your expectation is like giving up 70 yards for a total game, I don't think that's very reasonable. I mean, listen to Nick Saban talk, right? Like he's saying like the rules have changed so much that we've had to change how we're attacking football because you cannot play that style of football anymore. That style of football that was SEC, like what was that? The game against LSU and Alabama was like 7-6 or something. Those are dead. So that's true. That's dead in college. It's dead in the NFL. Maybe not in the Big Ten. But
I think between those two defenses, there was something like 20 of 22 kids played in the NFL on that. I'm like, there's a difference between bad offense and good defense. And, my Pac-12 snobby friends were making fun of this game. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like Roger Clemens going up against Randy Johnson. This is a 0-0 playoff game, not just two bad offenses. And these defenses were loaded. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Well, good point. But it does play zone. It's mostly keep it in front of you. And I think it's a perfect defense for today's NFL, where so much of points or yards don't equal points. And if you can make a team have to execute 10 to 12 plays to score points and then also have them give up threes instead of sevens, that's a winning formula in today's NFL with how the game is being played. It's when the teams are giving up like 70-plus yard touchdowns or giving up touchdowns constantly in the red zone where you really start to fall behind. But if you make a team have to execute 10-play drives where they're not making mistakes, which if you have to string together 10 plays to score, odds are you're going to make a mistake on offense. It's just a numbers game. So I think that is it's just a change in philosophy and how the game is being played right now. And we want to give a shout out to Dale Hendricks coming in here with a $3 super over on YouTube. Dale, if you have another question, we'll get to that here. And we got KR coming in here, Christy, saying breakout player number 2. So we've had a couple breakout players here. Scott, do you have any kind of breakout players that are a little bit under the radar? I know we talked about them a couple weeks ago, but anybody coming to mind for you?
Who's number 1? Is Patrick Surtain number 1? So I'll give you 2 just to make sure. But Patrick Surtain, I think, should be a breakout player for this team. Mm-hmm. And then for number 2, I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna say Javonta Williams. And anytime a rookie is coming in and has a year like that, it should be a breakout. And then comeback player of the year, I'm hoping, is Cortland Sutton. I want him to have he's already broken out, mm-hmm. and then he missed a year. So I want him comeback player of the year because I want to see him healthy again.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. Breakout player for me. I think just the way this Broncos team is set up right now, I think he's already on the scene, but I think he is actually going to explode this season, and that is Noah Fant. I think that year 3 for a tight end, especially with what it seems to be the emphasis for the tight end position. And apparently, I mean, again, it's the zero-sum game. Like, is it because the Broncos linebackers are A, in a bad situation in 7-on-7s, and B, potentially not great in coverage? Noah Fant's cooking him out there. He's just killing him, getting wide open pretty consistently. But he's 23 years old this year, third-year tight end. It looks like he looks like when he came into the league, I was like, okay, Noah Fant, you want to play an offline. You don't want him being that 6th offensive lineman as that Y. The body type does not look like that anymore. That guy looks like not Gronkowski, but he looks like he belongs as an attachment of that offensive line as a Y tight end. So I think Noah Fant is a guy who's going to explode this year as a breakout player. Another breakout player this season. I would have said Garrett Bowles last year, so that one did come and go. I think Noah Fant's a pretty obvious one as well. Breakout player. I'm just going ahead on different positions.
There's a lot of veterans on this team. That's the good thing. There's a lot of established veterans, so it'll be tough to break out. That's why I went with 2 rookies.
Yeah. Jeudy seems like another obvious one because the just historical data for wide receivers.
Good shout.
Just KJ Hamler's another one if the injuries are fine.
Jeudy had almost 900 yards as a rookie.
Yeah.
He can still improve, obviously, with the drops and the catch percentage and all this and the touchdowns. But, his touchdowns went from 3. He should double that this year, don't you think? But we also start talking about these guys that should improve. Everybody can improve. There's only one football. So Sutton, Jeudy, Fant, Patrick, Hamler. Then we're going to throw the ball to Gordon, Williams. I just named 7 names.
Yep.
So there's only one football out there.
And this is the other name that was coming to mind for me as well. Dre'Mont Jones, breakout this year. Year 3 for Draymond. That should be great. And also, maybe not breakouts, but with Sutton and Vaughn coming back, those are maybe breakouts compared to last year. But I think Fant is going to kill it this year. Yeah, me too. I think Fant, man, if the Broncos can just find the open guy, and if other teams are having to pay attention to Jeudy and Sutton, Fant could eat. That's the thing about, we made a joke about it last Tuesday. It's like, the Broncos still don't have any linebackers to cover Kelsey and Waller. Pictured behind me right now, all the linebackers in the NFL who can cover Fant and Waller one-on-one. They do not exist. They just do not exist. Even in the Super Bowl, everybody's like, oh man, look at how great the linebacking play was for Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. Travis Kelsey still had 13 catches for 130 yards. They limited him from the big plays, but he still ate. They just don't have guys to cover those people. It's like, why can't anybody pitch around Mike Trout? Mike Trout's freaking good. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes great players are just going to be great. So that's sorry to get off my my high horse there. Shout out here to Sykes JB coming in with the super sticker as well. $20 super, Sykes. We appreciate you. Heck of a lot. Yeah, let us know what it was in the comment section here. Alberto, that's another one that we talked about a couple weeks ago, talking about a breakout player. He's going to have to prove to be a more well-rounded player before he really becomes a breakout player. Because like coming in last year, he was kind of a screen pass / running up the seam player because he doesn't have almost any route nuance. He just plays way too high when he's trying to change direction. Kind of a common scout cliche is turns like a battleship or an aircraft carrier, right? And that's physics, right? He's so big and so tall that his momentum will carry him because the weight is higher up. So he needs to learn to play lower. And also for being so big, I hate to use the word soft, but he needs to kind of figure out how to be a blocker at the tight end position, because it's not like he can be Evan Ingram out there as a lighter player detached from the offensive line. But I think that we don't have any other supers right now. So Scott, I think we're going to get on out of here. It's Thursday.
Won an hour 05. Appreciate the good words, Greg, and everybody that's come in. Hope you're enjoying it. You keep coming back. I've recognized a lot of the same names in the comment section, and I know there's always a lot of lurkers, having worked in community for a long time, there's a lot of lurkers out there. So we appreciate everybody that's listening to it and jump in, say hello sometimes. So, I know people like to listen and not necessarily get involved, but just say hey.
Say hey. And I also dropped the sub there for Scott as well. And Scott, I don't know if you saw this, but look right here. 800.
Nice.
We did it. Well, nice. Not did it, but we're trying to get to 1,000. But
yeah, we're getting close. I mean, I think I was at 150 in January. So, and there's certainly more I can do. I really enjoy this one. I really enjoy doing this one. So I put more work into this than on my own channel when it comes to original content. But that'll change too. And this is a big reason why my channel is growing is the Broncos community.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're happy we can be here for you. And we appreciate your insights coming in here as well. So that's great. And also I see that Chad is finally starting to put the Broncos for Breakfast in the podcast stream as far as like iTunes. Like I'm getting pings on the podcast now that Scott and Nick for Broncos for Breakfast has been downloaded in my iTunes. So that's exciting as well. I think maybe we've officially made it once that's happened. I think our trial period is over. So shout out to all you guys also for making that happen. If there were no listeners in here, no super chats, no subscriptions, no eyeballs, we wouldn't still be here. And
I'm gonna go a full week, all Chelsea.
Okay,
you
have to,
and then I'll change. I'm gonna celebrate the Champions League victory with the swag for a full week, and then I'll back off a little bit. But for now, go blue.
I think you get all off season. Personally, I'd give you leeway the entire offseason.
The beautiful thing about soccer is offseason lasts about 5 minutes. They're all in internationals right now. I mean, they're all on international duty right now. Soccer is 12 months a year. That is truly the world pastime.
Yeah, no, that's not cricket. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you guys very much for coming in here. A quick question here from US Dave before we get going too far. Has Kyle Pitts looked as good as advertised so far?
Again, it's just talk, and really for him, it's like off the hoof. He walks in and you're just like, yeah, but we knew that coming in. He's 6'6", 245 pounds. And if you didn't have any perspective, you'd think he was a corner because he's so well proportioned and all. I mean, he's a specimen. He is. He's a specimen. Now all the talk down here in Atlanta is Julio Jones. That's what everybody is talking about right now. And if you're not talking about Julio Jones, you're complaining that Julio Jones is going and Matt Ryan is staying. So all the talk right here is Julio Jones in Atlanta.
For sure. And I see everybody saying my favorite show, or I love all the pods, best show by far. Guys, there's so many different shows on this channel, which makes it really great. I don't know if I should take this personally as saying favorite show. I feel like you're taking a shot at me, maybe a little. This is just Scott love, but it's about me. I have to make it about me. No, but I appreciate it, you guys. Obviously, there's the Huddle Up podcast with Chad and Zach. They've been going strong. They're our flagship program. They are a different flavor than what Carl and I do with building the Broncos. Obviously, got the hat on for that one. Tuesday nights, they're a different flavor than what Lance and Eric do for Death Valley Deep Divers, and they're a different flavor than what Luke and I do for Mile High Insider. So obviously, if you guys have your favorite ones, that's great. But I love that they all have different flavors, different voices, different themes, different personalities, right? If it was all homogenous and boring and just kind of an echo chamber in here, that would suck. You don't want that. That's bad in football. That's bad in the real world. We appreciate that everybody is commenting there. But if you like this show, give the other ones a chance. Or if you don't like this show, give the other ones a chance. There's different strokes for different folks, as they say. But guys, we got to get going. This has been Broncos for Breakfast. We will be back again next Tuesday at 8 a.m. At some point, Scott and I are going to have to go sit down over our schedules because I know that summertime is going to be, it's the off season, and we're going to have some other things coming up here. I got family coming that I haven't seen in a year at some point. Maybe it'll be gone for a few days, checking out the Olympic Peninsula, et cetera, et cetera. And I know you got sports stuff coming down the tracks as well for your kids. So that'll be fun. Travel baseball.
We got a destination tournament at the end of June. And real quick, Richie asked, important closing question, soccer or football? Depends on my audience. And here I'd call it soccer or international football. If I'm talking straight soccer, if I'm doing a Chelsea talk, I'll call it football. I'll call international football, I'll call it football. So it depends on my audience on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see Richie Rich here saying this pod is my top 5 when there are 5 Mile High Huddle pods. I'm way to be inclusive, Richie Rich. I don't know if it could be 1, it could be 5, but that's great. Also, guys, make sure you're following us on Twitter. Both pretty active on there. Myself at Nick Kendell, MHH. That's Kendell. Somebody got a letter wrong crossing Ellis Island, I think. There's no Kendells that I know of in the world, but there's one here. And Scott at Scout Kennedy as well. Speaking of Twitter, follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are joining us on Facebook, real quick, before you get on out of here, please click the thumbs up. We're at 34. 34 is not a great number. 35 is much better. So if we can get one more like in there, that would make me so happy. Also, Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle to become a supporter. Also, Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Guys, if you're joining us on YouTube today, please subscribe, like, and share this channel. It helps us get to new audience members, new listeners. It helps us with sponsors. And helps keep the lights on in here. Speaking of keeping the lights on, I know that we got Scott to 800, but we're trying to get to Scott to 1,000 here. Let's push for the end of June. I think that's a good time. We got a month, a lot of shows left, but I think with your trajectory, even though I know it's off season, we can get you to 1,000 by the end of this month. So youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I'm going to drop it one more time in the chat as well, so you guys can click that. It'll ask you, hey, do you want to become a subscriber or a follower of the channel? And yes, that'd be great. Oh, we got to 35 also. Thank you guys, whoever that last person was, and thanks, Dave. Scott, anything? Give us your elevator pitch, your channel.
That was a long goodbye, Nick. I think we're ready to go. That was a long goodbye. So I appreciate everybody. Goodbye. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Or if you're on social media, I'll see you in 5 minutes. Just hit me up with a question. I am obsessive compulsive about responding to everything online.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I hope you all enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. We love y'all. Go Broncos.